Hello, beautiful YouTube family. We're a family, right? Can I call us a family? I hope so. That's what I'm calling us. Hello, beautiful YouTube family. It's been a minute since I have come on and done a video. And I have no excuse other than I've been really busy. And this video is actually not even me in it. But it's really, really good. And I wanted to share it with you all. I did a video, I'm not sure if all of you saw it, about my mother writing her book, and it's called The Open Heart Club Grief Journal. It is about the loss of my brother. I did a whole video about it, and I didn't speak on behalf of my mother. I spoke on behalf of my own experience, and I also shared what it was like to get my mother back. It was like calling her back from the dead. And she gave an interview recently on my fairy godmother's YouTube channel, Psychic Debbie Griggs. And I asked Debbie if I could have the file and post it on mine because I want to blast this out to the world. Debbie has like way more followers than me. She's in the thousands. I am in the hundreds. But yeah, I'm in the hundreds. I remember when there was like 12 people watching. So I'm going to have this video. It's going to be my mother giving an interview about her writing process, about her story, and it's just beautiful. And Debbie, you hold this with so much love, and thank you for taking care of my mom. Thank you for being a wonderful interviewer. And Mom, I love you. I can't express how much gratitude I am that this medicine is out in the world for people to experience. I'll put a link in the description of the video where you can buy my mother's book. And of course, to change it up and, add a little bit of flair and keep with the theme of this channel, I do come on at the very end. So watch till the very end because I do come on and do a comedy skit. So I'll just tell you the skit right now. How about that? It is, Mom, you're gonna love this. It's from the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer. Mike Myers, hilarious. My brother and I would quote this all the time. We'd be laughing so hard. There were so many scenes I could choose from. I might pick other scenes in the future. And the one I chose for this one, it's a scene where the father, his character, he's talking about KFC and the Colonel. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So stay tuned till the very end. And I put some outtakes in the comedy skit because I just thought, why not? I might as well just do it. So enjoy this video. I will be back soon sharing something and entertaining you once again very shortly. So I love you. Enjoy my beautiful mother and my fairy godmother and the comedy skit at the end. Mwah. Ciao, queridos.
Hello, beautiful people. Psychic Debbie here, hoping you're having a great morning, afternoon, and evening. I have a fantastic person next to me that is going to be talking about her book. It's called Open Heart Club. What it's all about, it's exciting. This beautiful woman is Jana. You know Jana Banana. It's her mom. And so now you can see where she got her beauty from. It's Chris Valenzuela, right? Saying it right? I hope I'm saying it right. Yes, you got it. So me and my words, sorry about that. So this book is very, very powerful. I would love you to connect to it. It's kind of like a little bit of a workbook, but we'll talk about it. We'll tell you what's in there, why she wrote this book, what she's coming from. Chris is a fantastic wife, fantastic mother, fantastic soul sister. She was a teacher. A lot of her students are missing her because she just retired not too long ago. So her wording, her writing, her speaking is phenomenal. And you'll find that out right here. So thank you, Chris, for connecting and letting me do this with you. So.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. Thank you. Or now I'll sound like a blithering idiot and I won't be
No.
able to put two words together. But thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You bet. You bet. So,
and I have to say that you were one of my biggest cheerleaders in doing this, because I never thought I would do something like this.
yeah.
So thank you for that.
It's that if you look on her daughter's Hannah's little TikTok, she's like, she calls me her fairy godmother, and she was mad with me the other night because I push. Sometimes I push too hard, but I believe in you. I knew that you have this wonderful story, this wonderful book within you, and you just needed to take that leap of faith. And we all supported you, family, friends, everybody was supporting you. So, and I'm so glad that you took that leap, because it's going to help a lot of people. It's going to help a lot of people.
I hope so.
Yeah. And I know that's the reason why you did it. I know that's the reason why you did it. So let's talk about how we met.
Okay. So we never get the years right. We say, I think it was about 10 years ago, but maybe, well, I mean, I don't know why we can't get that time frame, but it's been at least 10 years.
Yeah.
And Hannah kind of told the story. We met at the expo, Conscious Life Expo, and Debbie saw these pictures, aura photos that we had taken, and she kind of called us over. And then it was just like fate.
Yeah.
She gave us all this information, and we were like, whoa, they didn't say anything like that to us. So we just started connecting, and then she really connected with Hannah a lot in the beginning. And then eventually Debbie became ours too. And so we're just friends for life.
Yeah, I'm so blessed. I mean, one gift that the universe has given me is you, and Hannah is just a beautiful gift. And we've done trips together. We've done little, and there's always some kind of adventure. It's never boring.
Always. Lots of laughing.
Lots of laughter, and it's never boring. I'll tell you that. Something always comes up.
Oh my God. Great memories.
So enjoyable. So, so what started the journey of this book for you?
Well, I mean, obviously for me, it was the death of my son, Louis. He was sudden death at 37 years old, and a diagnosed heart condition. He just collapsed. And I was always a journaler. I was an English teacher, and I gave my kids journals. And so writing to me, even when I was a kid, it was really important, because I could put all the good, the bad, and the ugly in my little journal or my diary. And when this happened, I mean, I was not this happy, joyful person you see in front of you. I was pretty broken. And I went straight to my journal. I mean, that's kind of where I go. And I put lots of emotions, lots of confusion, lots of, desolation. I mean, that's one of the titles in the chapters. I put everything in this journal, and it was super cathartic for me just to be able to unload it, because I think I would feel like if I shared this with another human being, or especially a family member, how could they take it? Right. But it had to come out. And I just knew it was overflowing. Whatever I was feeling was overflowing. And I also knew I was broken, and I didn't know how I was going to put the pieces together. Like, I don't know where I go from here. So my journal took it all. It was safe, and I could put it all in there. And I also started as I was writing in my journal, I knew I had two goals, and the two goals I had sounded crazy to me. One was I could not let go of my son. Just short and simple. Could not let him go. I don't care if death came. I don't care what got in the way. I wasn't going to let him go. I wanted to find a connection with him. Right. And I didn't know how. How was I going to do that? And my second goal was, how do I get to the point where this becomes part of my life and I accept it? Because of circumstances, Louis was a single parent. So I was going to raise his daughter. I mean, I was already kind of, the mama step in for him. Right. But she was going to be ours. And, that responsibility and the love I have for him and for her, I knew I had to start healing or become some kind of a whole person again, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how I was going to do it. So the journal was the process.
And really, I mean, who knows how to do it, right? Yeah. I mean, who knows how to do it? And if you can help, even if it's 1% to 100%, I mean, more power to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like connecting, like what you call each other soul sisters. It's like being in a soul sister kind of environment or soul,
Yeah.
you know, partner. I mean, this is can go for man or for a female. This isn't just for a
absolutely.
mother. This is for a father. This is for a brother.
Right.
This is for a sister. This
Right.
book, this Open Heart Club book, it goes good for losing a grandparent, losing a pet, losing whatever. It's not just directed with just losing a son or losing a child, you know.
Right. Right. And, you know, and I initially wrote it as a mother who lost a child, a parent who lost a child.
Right.
And, you know, the feedback that I've received is more than I even anticipated. I always said if there was one phrase or one sentence or one paragraph, my bar was really low. I just wanted to help somebody in some way, because I know how I felt when I needed help. And I've gotten back people who have lost people years ago, like 20 years ago, who said something shifted for them in the way they felt their grief or they felt their loss. So I couldn't even be, you know, more blessed, more happy that at least this is coming to some kind of good purpose.
Yes. And it definitely does, because we know, I know you, I know your joyful side, your goofy side when we do our trips and, you know, get together, but you're pretty much a private person.
I'm
Don't
very
you think?
private. Yes, I am. That's the irony is that I don't even post. You know, I don't post. I have Facebook and Instagram, and I go on there essentially to see my daughters, you know, their lives, my granddaughters and family and babies and nephews and all of that we all love to see, you know, all the rest of life that's getting lived. I love watching that. But I it's just not my thing. I don't know. I love talking to people. I gab away, you know.
Right.
So I don't really post. So for me to write a journal and then in trying to figure out, I didn't want it necessarily to just be my story. And as the English teacher comes in, I used to give journal prompts to students. And this way the journal prompts would then, you know, kind of give them an idea of where they have to go. So it was actually Hannah's suggestion when I told her, I don't want to just tell my story. People have to work through their grief. So she said, well, what about an interactive journal? I was like, yes, that's what I'll do. And then she suggested, are you comfortable with taking excerpts from your own journal and putting them in the book? And instantly I said, yes, it's a journal prompt. Great, I could do this. And so, you know, the regular whole part of me that was still intact and the professional was like, yes, this is great. Kids, you know, kids loved it. They wrote great when they got the prompt. And so I shared some really vulnerable things because I wanted to be really honest, because the pain is honest and you really have to look at it to get through it. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I always say that, you know, on my YouTube or whatever, and now I'm doing the TikTok, but I always say you have to acknowledge it. You can't change anything unless you acknowledge it, right?
Absolutely.
You have to acknowledge it. You can't bury it under the sand. If you're trying to bury it, you're never going to fix it. And sometimes it hits you in the face or it hits you in the heart, or it hits you like in the root chakra, because that's where your security is. And it can be frightening. It's to take that leap of faith, you know, in anything. So, I mean, I feel that there's going to be hundreds and thousands of people that are going to be thanking you for doing this, because I feel like it will help numerous of people. And I feel, and it will be a reflective, do you know what I mean? It's like you're helping a mom that's lost a child, that's going to help her with her other children. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's going to help her grandchildren or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's going to have this massive ripple effect, which is, I think, is so powerful, because it's not just helping the person, it's helping the family. Do you know what I mean? And it's already happening. It's already happening. So, so what made you decide to write, or what was there like an aha moment? Like, you're like, I need to write about this. And I know, I've known you for, you know, since 2012, I'll say. So, and we would go to the Conscious Living and there would be publishers there, and I'd be like, okay, Chris, let's go. And you'd be like, yeah, nice. And you so
bye.
You'd be like, bye, see ya. And I'd be like, okay, it's right. So, I mean, and other people did too. And we weren't trying to push you. Do you know what I'm saying? But we knew that you had a beautiful story to tell, and that it would help a lot of people. So was there an aha moment, or was there a space where you're like, I've got to do this?
Yes, there absolutely was. So I did a lot of things. I tried different things and the grief process to try to like heal the grief. And so people made, wonderful suggestions. And one of them was to go to a bereavement group. And in the book, I write, specifically about that particular night. And it was, I met a parent. Okay, so this parent walked in completely broken. And I was sitting there broken, but I wasn't sobbing. I wasn't crying. I was sitting in my chair, just really sad. This parent walked in just sobbing and couldn't stop sobbing and sat next to me. And I thought, wow, I think it's too soon for her to be here. Like, I thought it had just, her loss had just occurred, and so did everyone else in the group. So we all kind of did sharing going around, and then she shared her story, which I include. And then someone asked her, which I think we were all wondering, when did this happen? And she said 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And we all like, it just took our breath away. And I could not stop thinking of that poor woman. The best I could do that night was just kind of put my hand and pat her on her shoulder. And she haunted me. She haunted me. Her grief haunted me because part of it was personal. I thought, that could be me. That could be me. And I have things to do in life. Like I have a child to raise, right, and I have a husband, and I have daughters, I have family. And I think we all saw like, yeah, we could be her. Right. It was like looking at the living dead. And I knew exactly what that meant because I felt like that. But I had hope, like, please, God, somebody help me get through this, because this is not living. Yeah. I walked around feeling dead. And when I saw this poor woman, oh my God, it just laid heavy on my heart. I could not stop thinking of her all day, throughout the days, months, weeks. And then finally, as I kept writing, I thought, I have to do something. What can I do? And I was thinking, open a foundation or, but my strength is English, words, pen, paper, And so it was with my daughters, really kind of, we talked about it, and they said, Mom, write a journal, write a book. That's what they said. Yeah. That's how it started.
And go ahead.
Sorry. I also felt my son, Louis. I can't explain it. You know how you can't explain those things, but I felt him pushing me. Like in my mind, I could hear, now I hear it, but back then in my mind, I could hear, come on, Mom. Come on, Mom. And that's, I kept hearing, come on, Mom. I thought, what? But, I thought I was crazy back then anyways. Still a little crazy today.
Crazier.
This is a good crazy.
I think I'm crazy, so I might as well be
just the other crazy. Right. And so that's what pushed it.
And I think that, this might be a rude thing to say, but that woman's grief was a blessing for you. It was a gift to you to make you see. I think her coming in with her out realizing, not even realizing that she was a gift to everybody else of like, don't be this. Right. Because her grief, as sad as it is, and I feel, sending her condolence and healing, but she's in the habit now. After 12 years, it's a habit of this grief. She's made the platform. My daughter's first husband, my daughter's first husband's mother passed away, and her name was Debbie also. And it was like 25 years ago. But it was kind of like how you were talking about this lady, his grandmother, the mom of Debbie, she was like right away, that's the first things that came out of her mouth was the grief of her daughter. And, I lost a daughter and did it. It wasn't, how are you doing? It was like, here's my story.
Right.
And sad to say, it affected her grandson personality, you know what I mean? It affected so many other things because she was like carrying this story of her daughter. And I hope I never have to go through that. I don't know what it feels like. Right. So, people could say, well, you don't know, Debbie. You're right. I don't know. Yeah. But like you're saying, this woman, and maybe that's her purpose, is to show other people. This is maybe the lesson that she was supposed to show people, like you're saying, living while, being dead, living with the dead, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Right. And it pole vaulted you to write this so that really it's you and her healing a lot of people.
Well, I send blessings to her in my mind all the time. Every time I pick up the book, I remember her. She just really went into my heart and my soul because there was this weird connection.
Yeah.
it was weird, you know, a weird connection.
Yeah.
And the other thing about seeing someone in so much grief, and she explained how her child died, you know, is that I thought, gosh, all I'm thinking about is Louis's death. I was
Right.
forgetting his life. That was my most precious experience with him from the time he was born. And, you know, he was a firecracker. He was a pistol. He was intelligent. He was mischievous, you know, with exclamation points after
Right.
it. He was fun. You know, we called him the Pied Piper when, you know, the kids would say he has lots of cousins, and they'd say, oh, we knew when Louis walked in the room, we were going to have a good time.
Right.
And so this event, his death, was just blocking it all out. It was blocking all life, you know, my life, his well-lived, beautiful life. And I didn't want to live that. I didn't want to lose that either.
Right. Right. So, why do we have all these hummingbirds?
Well, yes, I didn't. I'm surprised I don't have my mug, but yes,
Yeah.
we are inundated. And I said, this one, if I move a little bit this way, he's like, right, sitting right, you know, almost like a pirate.
Your head.
Well, when Louis passed, and I think I wrote quite a bit about the hummingbirds. But you know, at that moment, I was the one who found him. There's a whole chapter on that.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't have it any other way. I just felt there was a possessive part of me, like he's mine. I'd find him, you know, and so I did. And so before, you know, they take the body away, his dad and his two sisters came, and so we were saying our goodbyes to him. And very, you know, like the way I would tell him, Louis, you have to do this, or, you know, clean your room or throw out the trash. I put my hand on his heart, and I told him, I actually ordered him. And I said, you need to give me a sign that I know that you're okay. And my heart was just pushing down on him. And then, you know, we blessed him, kissed him, let him go. And no sooner did he leave, and, you know, we followed out. And then I walked back up to the courtyard outside of his home. And by that time, family and friends had arrived. And there had to be more than a dozen, some say like 15 hummingbirds just came and descended like right over our heads, which everybody just kind of, you know, took our breath away. We looked up, and one bigger one with this red crest floated like right above my head, right in front of me. And we stopped talking, like we all stopped and we were staring. And for about maybe 15, 20 seconds, they lingered above us. And then they all kind of flew away. And I, at the time, I still was in shock. So I didn't put anything together. And the girls, my daughters, you know, Sophia and Hannah, both said, Mom, there's your sign. And it planted, but I didn't realize it, you know, until I was going through this whole process, you know. And and since then I've had hummingbirds fly in my house. I have hummingbirds. If we have a party, oh God, you know, there's hummingbirds. They're all over the place. Yeah. And I carried them out, you know, one kind of, I guess it fainted or something. I don't know. Maybe they play possum, and it was in my house. And I was like, no, you can't die in my house. And I was trying to give it like resuscitation with my finger on its little heart. And I was breathing every mother breath and incantation. And then all of a sudden it stood up. I was like, so yeah, hummingbirds are a big part. And for the family too. Family sees them on, you know, at a French restaurant at night on an anniversary, and the hummingbird taps on the window. I mean, beautiful hummingbird stories.
Wow. And I met Louis a couple times, talked to him. It had a very powerful mystical energy around him. Do you know what I mean? It was very intuitive, very mystical. I feel like he had massive powers that he could do. I don't think he tapped into them all as much as he could have. Do you know what I'm saying? I was just like, when I met him, I was just like, wow, okay. And I would be like, oh, this and this and this about you. And he'd be like, really? And I'm like, yeah. It's like very, very powerful. And I remember when Hannah called me up, because I was in Montana at the time. I wasn't in California, because I would have been there in 2 seconds, you know that. I was in Montana, and Hannah called me and told me about the passing. And I have this like little cottage room. We call it like a mother-in-law suite, kind of like a little cottage room. And I was talking to Hannah, and all of a sudden the toilet flushed. And I'm like, going, what the hell? I said, my toilet's, I mean, it wasn't a little, it was like a, you know, I mean, and I'm like, my toilet's flushing. What the hell? what the heck's going on, And so I was like, okay, maybe that was him. I don't know. I was telling Hannah, and she's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, Debbie. If you knew why, it makes sense. And I'm like, okay, this is a little weird.
Right.
So then Naya, which is his daughter, Hannah called me up for something, and her and Naya were going to something. And I think Naya was a little upset or whatever. And I was trying to talk to her, like calm her down, and the toilet flushed again. And I'm like, I think your dad's here. Cause to the point they heard it. It was so loud. It was just like, blah, blah. So him and signs are huge. Huge. He makes himself present.
Yes, he does. Yeah. He does. And it kind of, some things I put in the book, one of the last sections, I think it is in the book, is I wrote about signs only because as I started sharing with other people, or people talk to me about their loved ones who passed, everybody gets these signs, but we don't always acknowledge them. Like the hummingbirds, the pack that, this whole group that flew over my head, and everybody's in awe. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, beautiful. What is that? I don't know what that was. I didn't pick up the message, it just didn't register until time passed and I got some clarity. But they all have signs. I wrote about a father who, at the memorial of his daughter, her passing, they had a family barbecue for about 7 hours in the backyard, and a butterfly never left. Oh, and it alighted on all the guests, the grandma, everybody. The butterfly never left the party. And he knew it was his daughter, a sign. And I've had a bazillion, since Louis's death.
Right.
His daughter, and and so in the last section, I put a section on signs, because for me, it became very comforting, because it was part of my connection. And so the veil, like I know all your readers get that. All your followers get the veil part. And I just, I was not there, 8 years ago, but I totally am now. I knew it was thinning. And so I knew that what I thought I lost, I didn't lose it. It's not the afterlife, it's the other life. Exactly. And that's how I look at it. His soul is still there, and he still connects with me. So I get this really sharp kind of like a tingle up my left calf, only on the side. That's his sign. And I get it randomly. I get it in the movie theater when I'm laughing about something, or I remember like, oh my gosh, he loved this. Boom, there goes the leg.
Right.
And signs when I really need a lift, boom, there goes my leg. And that became kind of our little telephone line, And so signs became very powerful, and there are more people who have this connection. And I think because it warms your heart, and you don't feel like I have such a loss. No, you don't. You really don't. Right. It's somewhere else. It's not the way we want it. I want to have him at my kitchen table eating breakfast. I want to go meet him for lunch. Yeah. But you get what you get, and you have to count your blessings that you have that. And I'm very, very, very grateful that I still connect with my son.
So the one of the signs that you have in your book is with Naya, and I'm going to put it up. It's like with the rainbow. So look at this, you guys. I don't know if it's going to, I can't because of the green screen. Oh no.
Oh, it shows a little bit. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
This is all rainbow colors. You have to get the book to see it. Oh, yeah. It kind of like there. But look at it was just like the whole room was just filled up with this beautiful light that he sent to her.
Yeah, that was about 3 weeks after he passed. And so I was cooking dinner downstairs, and she was up in her room, and it was about 4:00 in the afternoon. And she has a window in her bedroom, but it's at the opposite side of her room, and the sun is to the west. So it's not like shining into her room. And she called me, and she said, Nana, come up here. You have to see this. And I was like, oh, honey, I'm cutting chicken. Let me wash my hands. Can it wait? And she goes, no, you have to come up here. Look what my daddy sent me. So I thought, wow. So I ran upstairs, and I walked in, and you can't see the photo. It was a 360-degree rainbow around her bed. And she was standing up on the side looking at it, and we both did. And she was so happy. She just smiled. So she had no problem receiving this gift from her daddy. I was, the adult with the analytical brain.
Right.
How is this happening? I'm looking at the window. I'm trying to figure out the science of it all. And then I just said, honey, lay on your bed. Let me take a photo. No one's going to believe this. And so I took the photo, and it probably lasted maybe about 2 or 3 days. It repeated.
Wow. Are you kidding me?
It never happened. But yeah, it never happened before, and it never happened again.
Wow. See, look at how powerful that is. Look at how powerful that is. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just, I just, yeah, like I said, his power was amazing to me.
Yeah.
It was just amazing to me. It's like, boy, the things you could do with that. You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm glad that he didn't use it for the bad. He used it for the good. You know what I mean?
Right. And now we laugh about it because, when you talk about like past lives and all this other kind of stuff, he didn't want to tap it, because I remember you even told him you'd work with him. Yeah. And he was so reluctant, and he asked me, would you do it, Mom? And I'm like, well, I'm just a curious person. Yes, I would try to find out. But so then after he passed, and me and his sisters would talk about, how strong he is. And we said, well, maybe a past life wasn't so good with his power. So this life, he was like, I better just keep it under wraps. I don't know.
Which is true. No, I agree with that, because you'd be surprised how many people are very intuitive, psychic, medium, whatever you want to call them, shapeshifters, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And then when I'll do a reading for them, or even meet them in person, and you probably do the same thing, is you're like, why aren't you using your powers? I mean, we can see it all around you. Do you know what I mean? Why? And then it's like, if I tap into them, I'm like, oh, like you said, in another dimension, they were like, for it. I know I have. I've been shown 6 past lives where it's all, that's why I have this lovely gobble neck, because I kept on getting neck, breaking the hung, run over. It's like, okay, so you could tap into your powers. But there, like you said, it's like you're connected to your son no matter what. You're connected to the vibration of him, the frequency of him, the sound and water of him. Yes. Just because, and I always say, I mean, that's my opinion, the body of us is where the fear, worry, and doubt is stored. And I don't feel like anything else is stored there. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's to make the choices. It's like choosing to connect with them or not choosing, and choosing your grief. And I think with your book, you help people. I'm not saying that you're telling them this is the way you need to grieve, but your book gives them a lot of ideas or concepts or exercises to do to relieve some of this grief and get into and still be able to grieve, but in a happier, more content space. Does that make sense?
Right.
Or
yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, when this happened, I felt like whatever foundation I thought I had built and I was stepping on, it just crumbled. I was on little fragments of, block here and block there. I didn't know where to stand, metaphorically, I didn't know how to function. Mm-hmm. So because everything crumbled when I started to put pieces back, I just knew I have to be really purposeful. And there were some things that I didn't bring back anymore. They weren't for me anymore. And in losing some of those really strong beliefs, I also opened up more freedom to explore other perspectives, which I wouldn't allow myself for either guilt or, the way I was raised. I was raised, Catholic, and went to Catholic school. And, so there were a lot of tenets that were in my foundation that didn't fit anymore for me. And I'm not saying it's good, it's bad or anything like that. It's just my personal journey. They couldn't fit in. I needed to explore more. And maybe, some religions, don't look positively, or they just kind of say, stay away from this or whatever.
Right.
I had to explore, because my search was, I want my son back. And so nothing was going to get in my way, not a belief, not an old practice. If it worked for me, I'll keep it. If it didn't, then I have to figure out something else. So my whole foundation is really like a brand new, remodeled, home. It's right. Different.
So do you perceive people, or do you perceive situations, or do you perceive even people, places, and things in a different perspective now? Or
absolutely. And part of the title of the book, like, why the Open Heart Club, sounds like surgery, right? Like, heart surgery, open heart. All I could think about when it happened is that I have such a broken heart. Like, I know what it means to have a broken heart. My heart felt broken, shattered. And as I got through each chapter, and a little more glimmer of light started to appear, and a different shift in the way I looked at things, I started to feel more. I mean, really feel more. You know, I thought I was a nice person, whatever, but I really started to feel more empathy and connection to lots of people, you know,
Right.
friends, family, that I've, you know, loved forever. I just started to kind of love more. I guess I don't know how to say
Right.
it. I loved bigger. I loved deeper. I love more freely. So I looked at the heart as being a heart. Yeah, it was broken, but it had an opening. And because the heart was more open now, I could let a lot more love out, and I could receive so much more love in. And it became this
Fantastic.
beautiful highway, you know, of this, what was broken. No, hey girl, look at it differently. You know, you just got a way to gain more and to give more. And that's why I named it the open heart. Because if you can shift your perspective on this journey, and the journey is your timeline. There's no like, you know, in a month you'll go to the next chapter. No, it is
Right.
personal. It is so personal for each person. And I don't believe anyone can tell you how to grieve, when to grieve, you know, or even how to do it. That's why I just shared. All I'm doing is sharing mine. And if
Right.
there's something that resonates, then please, you know, try it, use it.
Right.
If it doesn't work, you know, put it to the side.
Yeah, because there's so many different ways to heal a heart or a person or whatever.
Right.
And you're just giving them some platforms through the book. You give some exercises. It's kind of like a little bit of a workbook. You know what I mean? So you got pages where you can journal, and it's kind of like, what's your thought process on that? And again, it's the space of acknowledging it to change it. And I'm not saying that you have to change it, but maybe look at it above the forest instead of being in the forest, kind of thing. And you probably your insight and your intuitiveness and your empathy is probably so much stronger. You probably could even notice or see someone that you're like, oh, they're grieving, because I know what that looks like. I know what that smells like. I know what that tastes like. And just by probably saying hi to them, like, hi, how are you doing? Or, you know what I mean? Your senses are probably more open now than they
really
been.
are. I mean, I notice people walking on the street and I'm like, oh gosh, I send them a blessing.
You're right.
I don't know what it is, but I know it's something. I feel a deeper connection to everybody, to all souls, you know, and even the ones, you know, like sometimes there's people who can drive you a little crazy. Well, I look at it differently. I look at it from their mind, from their perspective, from their life. I don't know what is making them do certain things, right? I don't know. So it's a little bit, it's losing a judgment, which was really good, you know, and not to say that I'm, you know, Mother Teresa, but I do feel like I don't judge as much as maybe I used to, or make my thoughts about something very crystal clear. It's not crystal clear. You know, not even to the person living the life, because I didn't have a crystal clear life either.
Right. And nobody does. But that's one thing that when I had my near death, is exactly, that's what Spirit told me, was we come onto this earth so that we can learn to be in the space of no judgment. There is no left and right, no up and down, wrong or right, black or white. And your son and people that have passed are in that, I call it the is space. It's just a beautiful, powerful space where it's all loving, all joy. And if you want to be a cook, you'll be a cook there. If you want to ride horses, you ride horses. If you're at the ocean, you want to be at the ocean. Whatever you want to be in that is space, and there is no judgment on that, then that's the space he's in. So with you being so connected to your son, of course you're going to be in the, because I feel like he's feeding into the body of you. Do you know what I mean? Because they're connected. That energy is in your body, so you're in the space of no judgment also. Does it make sense?
And you said something to me, well, I was probably halfway through this process, I guess, and we were talking about, because I put also photos of this violet light that Louis has bazillion pictures. I only added a few so you could see, because they're really funny. I mean, you know, the way it happened and what people said, and I wrote it.
See the violet light?
Yeah, those are some places where initially he, you know, came to his aunt and his cousin and a friend And they purposely said like, okay, I want that picture. And they put their hand out and boom, purple light came out in all these different positions. So it was, and we just, all I can say is that I don't doubt that's Louis. I know he was making his presence. But you told me once, it's hard for a soul in this other life to come to us or to anyone when our vibration is very low, heavy, just really heavy. And so I don't know how much lower I could have been in grief. Right. So hearing that, I thought, oh gosh, I better lift I want my son. So I better lift my vibration. So what I just started doing is when it started to feel real heavy, all I thought about was how much I loved him. And I thought, just think about how much you love him, how much you love him. And thinking about how much I love him, or that I was so grateful I had him as my son, or, when he was in my arm. I just brought all these memories forward. I could literally feel the sadness kind of, wash away. And I was just in love. And so that did help lift me. And my goal was, if I'm low, he won't come to me. If I'm high, he'll come to me. So whatever it took, I was going to do it. But not knowing it was a practice that was really, really helping me.
Yeah. And I think other people that are hearing this, it's going to help them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's true. It's, that's why a lot of mediums or psychics or whatever try to get in the highest vibration we can. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like me, I do a little mantra, a little prayer beforehand. I wear crystals. I got them in my bras. I've got them all around me. It's like anything to help us to get into that vibrational space, to connect. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But with you, I could be wrong on this, but they say that, and when we have a son, some part of their DNA goes up into our brain. So we always have some kind of aspect of our son in the body of us. Okay.
Well, it's funny. We were very like-minded, Louis and myself. We were interested, like he loved antiquities, anything about ancients. I did too. We would have all these, we love the Science Omni magazines about aliens. Him and I really clicked in that part. So there were just aspects of our personalities that were real connected. Yeah.
So he's always, like I said, the energy of him, the power of him, the vibration of him, and you being in the love and joy is just going to make him be more in the love and joy too, and that you can connect more. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I just love it. I didn't know his DNA, so I just give my head a little hug.
Yeah.
I know he's up there.
I love my son. People are going to be like, what are you doing?
She's crazy.
You're at a party or at something and you're like, she's loving her son right now. Oh, okay. Whatever. I think that's so cute.
Goodness.
So what have you gotten any feedback, or is anybody?
Yeah, I have. And the part, like I said, I thought it was going to be, primarily directed to parents who lost their children, but, a man told me it helped him with a loss of losing his wife several years ago. Another mother of a man lost her daughter 25 years ago. And he told me his mom read the book twice and she wanted to meet me. I was like, wow. Things out of left field, are coming to me and being shared with me. A woman read it whose son is still alive and he's going through a little bit of struggle. So it's been a little, how struggles with your children, it puts a strain on the relationship until they work through things. And she said something just shifted for her. And so their relationship shifted and he's alive. And that couldn't even make me happier because she has the chance, to continue living and loving her son. Yes. I'm just amazed how it's helped people. Another woman who was very close to her mother, and her mother died old age. Everyone expected it. She had a horrible time dealing with it. Something shifted for her, and so I'm telling you, what I realized too: grief is grief. Grief is grief. It doesn't matter what you lost, who you lost. If it weighs heavy on you, then there's a part of your spirit that I felt like it was atrophying, it was dying, and I've always thought, I'm a child of God, child of creation. And so this is a gift, use it and live it well. And I didn't care about it, right? I didn't even want to live it. So I see now other people's spirit, they can't be the living dead. You have more life to live. And if this is a PhD in life, I don't want anybody to take the course. I have to say, don't sign up if you can avoid it. Don't. But if you are, and if you have, or if you know somebody who has, then there are so many lessons and actually gifts that come from it. Right. It's amazing. I would have never said this 8 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, so it's almost like you're embodied a different, even though it's the same body, you look the same, but you're a completely different person.
Yeah. I think I'm probably closer to my own just natural spirit, before I was born. I think I shed a lot of the things that kind of block you, that don't serve you. And so I feel a little bit freer, kind of feel like the spirit of like that 18-year-old, 17-year-old, when you're having fun and looking at life differently and laughing. I laugh with Louis all the time. I watch a favorite movie of his, and, I know he's laughing when I'm laughing. Right. I mean, it's this is how I choose to live.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, do you, I was just going to ask you something and it just went through my brain. Sorry. It just went, bye-bye. See you later.
Let's see if Louis remembers.
Yeah. Let's tap into Louis. Bring it back. So what is something that what lessons did you learn from this?
Wow. What I learned is nothing is promised. Nothing is secure. There are no promises. I don't care how you lived or what you're doing.
Right.
Nothing is for sure. You don't have guarantees. So if you think, well, I won't do this now because I have the guarantee of something else.
Right.
You don't have guarantees.
Right.
Because I thought, I did everything right. And so everything will be right. It's like I'm the director of my life and everybody plays the roles I write for them. Well, that's, a bunch of baloney. They took away my director chair.
That is really powerful. I want you to say that again. I want you to say that last sentence again.
About the director of my life.
Yep.
Yeah. I always felt, especially raising children, like I was the director of my life. And in my mind, I wrote these roles for my children and how their life would be, and no bumps, protecting them. And then nobody played the roles I wrote.
Well, we know Jana didn't.
No, Jana didn't. Yeah. Nobody followed the script, right? Well, I was delusional thinking I was in control. I was not in control.
Right.
I was not in control at all. And so I made a joke, but they took away my director chair. It's like, no, lady, you don't have control. Right. Except in the direction that you want to move into, in the way you want to live your life. That's your only decision point.
So with that being said, we'll probably get a little deep here. So, so then so someone right now is going, oh, if we don't have control, well, that's where my fear, worry, and doubt is. So how do you live if you know that you don't have control?
Well, one of the things I realized about fear, worry, and doubt, because I was I had my backpack full of it, and then I had my little trunk that I would drag, and then a red wagon. I was like, I could have rented a little semi truck with all the fear, worry, and doubt that I had, and it all started when I had babies, right?
Right.
What I realized is that when I was living in fear, worry, and doubt, I was in some place that didn't exist, but I made it so real. It was real. You could smell it, you could touch it, you could taste it. It was taking over my reality. Like my present moment was not present anymore. So what was I losing? I was losing, the interaction across the table with, somebody that I love, or, whatever it was, going out, right. To a concert. If I start worrying, I'm not at the concert anymore. I'm in this delusional world that's not very happy. It's dark and it doesn't even exist. It doesn't even exist yet, but I'm choosing to go in that future or whatever point it is and be in it. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Why do I want to leave this nice place or whatever I'm in to go to this other place that nobody wants to go to? And I did it a lot. So I don't go there. Not that not fear, worry, and doubt doesn't pop into my head, but when it pops in, I go like, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Could it happen? Sure. We're not there yet, because I thought if I did all this, nothing bad would happen. And that was a lie.
Oh,
So why count on, why be in it? It's like, to me, it's wasting my time on earth. It's wasting my breath.
right.
And I don't want to waste my breath doing that. And so I know I'm more in the present. I say, let's do this. I'm more impromptu. I used to be, younger girl. I loved, spontaneity, and I always still had it, but now it's like, well, why not? Why not? Let's do it.
Right.
Well, I think we might get back late. Well, we might not. And so let's go. Let's,
Yep.
And so, I do a lot of the, this could go wrong now. If it goes wrong, oh, well, it's not like it'll be the first thing that goes wrong. So just live your life. And so what I know, while I'm in the present, I do pop a little bit to the future because I know I'm making memories. And I know that I love living on my memories when they pop in, right? All those be like our adventure in Sedona.
Yep.
It's hilarious. I laugh about that all the time. And so I know when I'm in the present, I almost take a little click picture of like, this is really nice. Having lunch at the beach with my granddaughter, whatever I do. And that's, if I'm going to go into a future world, I'll store all these wonderful bits and pieces in there, not fear, worry, and doubt.
Yeah, I say that to my husband, Roy, all the time, because I want to be that crazy grandma. I want to be that grandma. And I don't want to be that ordinary, common grandma. I mean, I want to be the grandma where they're like, oh my God. I don't care if they're rolling their eyes and going, my grandson, everybody knows this. And I think it's cute. He calls me poopy head witch. And I love it. It's like, okay, I'm your poopy head witch. Let's go. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like,
and I mean, when he gets
memories.
older, he's going to remember how much fun he had playing with you. Like we have a pool in our house. And so my youngest granddaughter was swimming. I swam forever with Naya, but my youngest granddaughter got in the pool and I was cleaning in the morning and I was watching her swim. And then she, Nana, come swimming with me. And I thought, oh gosh, I have a lot of things that I have to take care of. And then something just clicked in my head. It's like, really? She wants you to swim with her in the pool. This is your grandchild. So I said, I tricked her, and I said, oh, I can't, honey. I have so much to do. I'll be right back. And I went into the house and I came out of one of the doors on the side of the house. And I had my clothes on. I had, my yoga pants and the t-shirt. And I just did a cherry bomb in the pool. And her eyes were this big. And she was like, no. And I was like, yeah, let's have fun. And then we had like another hour playing in the pool. We played Jaws and we played all that stuff. And that was one of the best well-spent mornings I had. Right. Will I remember it? Absolutely. Well, and hopefully will she remember it? I hope she does.
She will definitely remember it. That's what because my mom used to be adamant about cleaning, or I even kind of say it to my daughter, Sophia, because we both have a Sophia. And so, my Sophia is really clean and did it. And I said, so do you want on your gravestone? She didn't have any time for family, but her house was clean. You know what I mean?
Right.
What do you want on your gravestone? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
House was clean, but never no time with the family. It's like, no, it's funny how the universe kind of gives you those kind of gifts, like she got laid off on one job. So she's spending the whole summer with her kids. And I said, their kids this is going to be a memory that they, instead of mom being worked and strained and stressed and doing all this stuff, they're going to remember this summer. It's a gift. It's kind of looking at things as a gift. And that's why I was like, what's the lesson that you learn from this is to be in the present moment. Right.
Live your life as fully as you can.
Yeah.
You won't regret it. That would be one thing you'll never regret.
Right.
And I think regrets to me are the worst thing, because I had, after he died, I was taking stock. And when you go into those deep, dark corners, in my journal, and I thought, gosh, this is the worst thing ever, regret. Like, and my thing was, if I could have one more morning with him where we went out to have breakfast, or he came over for lunch, or we barbecued, just one more. Right. And then I thought, how many times did I say, oh, I can't, I have to go to the market, or whatever I had to do. It was like priorities. What do you really want to, how do you want to spend your breath? Every breath. How do you want to spend it? That's how I look at it now. It's every breath.
Right. Because the breath we take it for granted, but if we don't have breath, then we're not non-existing. Right.
Right.
So it's like, and it's funny because I've been hearing about a lot of things about breath. So that's something I need to look into. You know what I mean? Doing breathing exercises or being present or whatever, And it's like stepping back. And like I was saying to, like, we were talking about, is like, don't be in the forest, be above the forest kind of thing.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you step back, which I can do a lot now. I do it a lot just for my own sanity. Sometimes, like, do I really? I kind of try to look at the macro version of it instead of the little micro in the middle. And I do see things differently. And I think for me, for the better, for the direction that I want to go into. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a heck of a journey.
Yeah. I mean, and Louis is really, really strong because there was one time there was a spirit that came into my place from it's kind of a long story, but I'm not going to go all into it. And I remember texting you and you were up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I'm like, the spirit says it's coming to your house because I'm not letting it in my house.
Right. And then I think I had Hannah here and Naya, and then I think Sophia might have been at her house. So then I think I did my own little like, no, sorry.
But you called on Louis too. Remember?
I did call on Louis. And then it left ours, but it ended up in Sophia's. Right. And then Sophia, she already instinctively was like, whatever. Yeah. And she also felt Louis' presence.
Right.
So yeah.
And remember your husband, Louis, because your husband's name is Louis, also woke up and said that Louis, your son, gave him a hug and protected him. And you're like, okay, you wouldn't believe what's going on. You know what I mean? Right. So that's how powerful he is. It's like he protects you and he's there constantly.
Yes, I feel him. I feel him. I can almost, like, now it's almost like I hear him, and I can, one time, it's in the book, but I was going crazy. Like, I need to touch you, bump into me, do something. And I walked around with my eyes closed, and then I gave up, laid down, and I put my hands on my chest, like my heart was broken. I'm just like sobbing and whatever. And I felt his hand come into my hand, and I held Louis' hand. I know he had a big old giant hand. He was a big guy. And I didn't want to open my eyes because I didn't want to have it not like disappear, this feeling. I could feel his hand in between my 2 hands, and then it just disappeared. And that was another sign that so he kept pushing me like, Mom, I'm here. Right. I'm here, and so I had to just follow those things that were giving me hope. And it was the hope that then directed me to all of this and all of that. And the book's going out and people giving me their feedback. And I'm actually gonna, there's a group, there's been a couple, I think, but a group is using it as in their book club. These women.
Good idea.
Yeah. And so they asked me if I could go and, on the day that they meet, whatever, it's like, I will show up anywhere, if I can get there. Absolutely. I will show up. If anybody needs to just share or talk, I'm there, so I'm now that, the health situation is kind of hopefully getting calmed down. Everything was closed, but I thought, maybe I go to women's groups or bereavement or wherever. Right. If anybody says, can you, I'll be like, yes, I will.
And I see you doing that. I see you doing that.
I hope so. You
could do a TED talk or something and say, here, whatever, this is my journey. Here's my journey.
And that's the curious part, because I am essentially, like I told you, I talk a lot, the teacher in me, but I am more private person. Like, I share with people that I know really well, and, and I love connection. I love meeting new people, but, I will, if anybody says, will you come and do, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. I'll show up. I'll be there, and I love in person. I really just love the connection of being in person with people.
Yeah. It's kind of like readings, when I do readings through the internet, I'm really powerful, but when it's in person, because you can feel the vibration, you can feel, and your energy can go to them and comfort them while they comfort you. Kind of like you said, it's like you're healing them, but they're healing you at the same time.
Absolutely. Like the feedback I've gotten has just really warmed my heart, because it's like, okay, it's fulfilling this purpose that you said you wanted to do. So it just keeps generating more like determination, like, okay, and with the COVID and everything, how many people have lost? My God.
I know. It's sad. And with everything going on in the world lately, it's just been crazy, but Spirit is showing me that they're trying to do it in sections like this so that we don't have to have a major thing happen, like 9/11 or a war or something like that. It's like, are we instead of it's the universe, God, Buddha, whatever you believe in, is saying we're too divided and it's trying to get us together. And that's why these things are happening around the world, so that we be of service to other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so with
I do feel the love is growing. I
yes,
just feel it in the atmosphere.
yeah,
I feel the connection and the love is growing, and especially young people, they think so beautifully, so differently. And I taught, middle schoolers, and so they were getting ready to go off to high school, and they even, I just retired a few years ago, but their thinking is different.
yeah.
They're much more open and receiving. It's a different energy. So I think we're blessed with them coming up.
I really do. And they're in the space of, why are you judging so much? Do you know what I mean? We don't care what that person looks like. We don't care what their sexuality is like.
Right.
We don't care. It's like if they have, they're Black or they're Chinese or they're Hispanic or what. We don't care. What's the big deal, people? And I think that's so beautiful that they're going in a space of open heart and looking at things in a non-judgmental space. It's like, let us be who we are. And that's the big gift to the world is,
Their beautiful spirits will fuel us, hopefully.
Right. So where can we get your beautiful book?
My book is on Amazon. It's on Amazon. I think Dalton also carries it, but Amazon's kind of the easiest and the quickest, for shipping and all that.
Okay.
So that's where it's at.
Is it on Kindle yet or no?
It's not on Kindle. No, it's not on Kindle. And I even had somebody say, is it in Spanish? And I thought, no, it's not in Spanish because I have a lot of my Valenzuela, right?
Right.
But I'm working towards maybe having it translated to Spanish. So
wow, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Go around the world. Yep.
Hopefully.
Yep. That goes around and helps so many people. So is there a parting thing that you want to say to people? What did you learn? Or is there something that you want us to get, if anything, out of this?
I think it's like in part of the title, it's from grieving to living fully again. I think what I really want you to know is that you heard me for this whole time that we chatted. If you heard me 8 years ago, I was a broken person. And I don't think you see me as a broken person anymore.
No.
And so I just want you to know, hang on to the hope that you can get through this if you're going through it, or someone who is. It is work. Journaling is work, because sometimes that pen doesn't want to write that sentence. But you have to remember that's your safe space. Let it flow. It doesn't mean it's the truth in a year.
Right.
It just means at that moment it's what you felt. So don't even judge yourself. Just put judgment to the wayside and let it flow, because your spirit is kind of detoxing, right? You're letting all this go away so that all you can feel now is love. And love doesn't have judgment or burden or darkness. Right. So I think for me, that's why, the writing, or draw pictures. You don't have to write, this is not an essay. I'm not going to grade it. Teacher. You can write bullet points. It doesn't matter what you do. But if whatever you getting that paper and the pen, if it helps you, or a picture, if you're an artist, just find an outlet. Maybe it's through music, maybe it's through something else. Yeah. But I would just say, lift that so that you can be in the space of love. It's a beautiful place. And I see the world as a really beautiful place, much more beautiful than I have to say before my son's death. So that was a gift. And gratitude, my God, gratitude is like, I see it all the time.
And that it's okay to be joyful. It's okay to laugh. Yeah. It's okay to love again.
Right.
I mean, it's like they're not up above or around you going, no, right. You should be grieving.
No, not at all. My grandmother lost her husband at 41 years, and she wore black because that was the tradition. And she stayed a widow all her life. She never remarried. She had 9 children. Oh. And she wore black. And it wasn't until probably the last year that she died, because we forced her to wear gray.
Oh my God.
Grandma, you got to lighten it up. And then right towards the end of her life, we bought her all these like flowered dresses, and she wore little muumuus and things, and we brought color into her life. But she had to live in her grief, wear it for all those years. And my gosh, we don't have to do that anymore.
Right. Yeah, you don't need to be in that space. They want you to be joyful. They want you to be happy. They want you to be happy, healthy, whole, and complete, and prosperous.
Yes. I feel that confirmation from Louis all the time.
Yeah.
in his laughter and his joy that I can sense.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for communicating with us. I'm so, I am so, it's going to make me cry.
No, don't cry. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Love you. Love you. It's going to make me cry. See, I think it's just beautiful. I'm so happy and so proud of you. And get the book, you guys. Get the book.
Thank you, Debbie.
Don't know why I'm crying.
And thank you all to her wonderful listeners out there. Thank you so much for giving us this time.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Okay.
We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Blessings and smiles.
Solid Jim, it's a well-known fact that there's a secret society made up of the 5 wealthiest people in the world, known as the Pentaveret, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows. So, who's in this Pentaveret? The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up. Oh, I always hated the Colonel with his wee beady eyes and that smug look on his face like, oh, you're gonna buy me chicken. Oh. Dad, how can you hate the Colonel? Because it puts an addictive chemical in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly, smart ass. Interesting. Cuckoo. I don't know how many times I have to do this scene. There you are. Yeah, there's a glare. There's a glare. Someone help me. Well, it's not a dream. It's a well-known fact. I'm losing it.